And I can't hold it much longer. Gonna let go so I can be free.
Hi, hello. I am Hannah Kaiser, filling in for Scott Braun. This is Foul Territory. We have Erik Kratz, as always. AJ Pierzynski will join us later from the Mets Phillies game at Citi Field. And we have Dellin Betances making his host debut. Hello.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm a fan of the show. It's a pleasure to be here across you guys, especially my good friend Erik Kratz.
This is, I think, the first time that I have ever not been the rookiest of rookies while I've been on the show. I finally get to feel like the veteran. Are we gonna haze Dellin a little bit, Erik?
We would never do that, but now you just don't have to carry the little pink backpack to the bullpen. So Dellin is going to have to carry the little pink backpack all throughout the game.
Appreciate you getting the little pink backpack, Dellin. Okay, all four division series are currently tied at 1 game each. This is the first time ever that all four LDS series have been tied after 2 games. I love that stat. I saw that and I thought that it feels like we're getting particularly good series. So I'm glad that we have the numbers to back it up. We're going to charge the mound and lead off with the Royals tying up the series at 1-1 against the Yankees last night.
Charging the mound.
All right, Dellin, you were at that game, right?
Which is this the
Yankees
Cleveland?
Royals?
The Yankees Royals. Yes, that I was definitely in the building. I was there for game 1 and game 2. Obviously yesterday the energy wasn't quite the same as game 1. I felt like the Royals did a great job of putting the pressure on the Yankees, and Yankees really didn't have anything to mount. They left a lot of guys on, and it was fun, but obviously I wish they won that game.
What do you mean the energy wasn't there? What do you mean by that? When because you were at 1 and then you were at 2, and I mean Rodon looked like he had some energy. He got a little spicy early on, and they got the lead. I would think the energy would have been awesome in the stadium.
Well, it was the energy was great early on. Rodon, the first 7 outs, he looked electric. I'm like, this guy's about to go 7 shutty. And then all of a sudden, he got a couple guys on the 3rd inning, and I think then Salvi, he threw 3 breaking balls. His fastball was good early on, and then he started throwing. Gave up a lot of hits on breaking balls right down the middle, which kind of hurt him. But as far as the energy is how can I put it? Like the Yankees score 1, and then Salvi hits a home run. So then it kind of quieted down for a bit. Then the KC went on top. It's kind of quiet for the most part. The loudest the stadium got was the 9th inning when Jazz hit a home run. Then they got the tying run on base. Glaber at the plate, and first pitch, obviously, game's over. So that was the loudest it got for me.
The Royals had Cole Reagans pitching it, and he had runners on base in each of the 4 innings, but managed to get out of it. Did it feel like? I'm curious. You talk about the energy. Rodon looks like he's pitching great, and then the Royals come out and have a big inning. On the flip side, Cole Reagans working through some traffic, but then the Yankees keep not getting hits with runners on base. So sort of which one, how does that energy shift work when the Yankees had more traffic, but the Royals were capitalizing better?
And that's what happened. In game 1, first inning, right away, they had 2nd and 3rd against Waka. They didn't get any runs across the board. In a similar fashion, in game 2, first 2 guys get on, Glaber and Soto. And then, Judge struck out. And then, Reagans made some good pitches to Judge. He's a tough guy. He struck out a lot of guys. His stuff was pretty nasty. I think he fell behind 1-0. Then he came back with 2 nasty breaking balls and then just blew 97 right past Judge. So a tough at bat. He kind of settled in and he had traffic all day, but the Yankees weren't able to mount that big hit when they needed to. They hit the ball hard, but just right at people, I felt like, all game.
Del, do you feel like you would rather have this Yankees team face a team of dudes that just grunt and snort and throw the ball as hard as they can and rip it as hard as they can? Or would you rather have them face a team like, I would say, the Royals, not taking anything away from their velocity, but they have more like pitch ability. You think of a guy like Seth Lugo can run it up there kind of hard, but he's going to throw 5 pitches at you. He's going to spin the breaking ball in the outer half, inner half. He's going to work the areas. Which would you rather see, or which do you think is giving the Yankees the most trouble? Which type of pitching staff?
This year, I think the Yankees had the most troubles against lefties, and Reagan's. Even though he was in and out of trouble yesterday, Reagan's throws pretty hard. He's pretty electric, but it'll be interesting to see how they do against Seth Lugo. I think he pitched well against them towards the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And, Seth is, like you said, crafty guy, his spots, spins the ball really well. And he's just a pitcher. He knows how to pitch. But for me, the Yankees have had, like I said, the most troubles against left-handed pitchers. So, hopefully we can, get out to an early lead in Kansas City. That place is going to be rocking. So we need to quiet that crowd.
And the most trouble with runners on base through the first 2 games, Yankees have left 19 runners on base. They are 3 for 19 with runners in scoring position. It's a frustrating watch, I imagine, to see that. It feels almost like, and we'll get to some of these sort of more teams of destiny type teams like the Mets. It feels kind of like the opposite of that, where the Yankees feel like they're not in it, even when they're in it, if they're not capitalizing on runners in scoring position, and especially if they're not getting any slug from Aaron Judge. There was a crazy stat from the broadcast last night. Aaron Judge has the highest strikeout rate of any hitter in postseason history, with at least 200 plate appearances. Is that just a fluke, or can a guy really be worse in October?
For me, I think it's a fluke. I take the track record. Judge has been probably the best hitter since he's been in the big league since 2017. And, for me, he's going to get out of it. Yesterday, he had great at-bats. Obviously, first inning was tough. Reagan's made some good pitches. But in the third inning, he just missed the ball to right field that if it's a summer day in Yankee Stadium, that's probably heading out to the seats. And then, he got on twice. So he walked and he got a base hit towards the end of the game. So I feel like he's right there. He's getting close to getting out of it. But I'll take the track record. Obviously, he struck out a lot in the postseason, but I feel like if they can take it as far as they should be able to go, I feel like he'll show up.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's a ticking time bomb. I think Judge is not waiting. He's trying to get hits now, but he's going to break out. So if I'm a Royals fan, every time Aaron Judge strikes out or makes an out where you're like, ooh, that was just close, you're like, oh boy, we're one step closer to Aaron Judge getting hot. That's how I see it. And hey, you know what? The series might end before he gets hot. Mm-hmm. And the whole runners in scoring position thing, I think, is so overblown in the playoffs. Yeah, obviously, 3 for 18, 3 for 19, whatever it is. Teams will go 0 for 6 and 0 for 6 every inning, every time they get a runner on base. It's runners in scoring position, can't get the hit. You have to remember, and I'll say this every day of the playoffs, you have to remember, and Della can attest to this, you have open bases in the playoffs. You have opportunities to work around guys differently than you do in the regular season. In the regular season, you're looking, okay, I got to get this guy right now. I know I have first base open. Like we even talked about it yesterday with Carlos Mendoza, the Mets manager. He was like, oh man, I hope Trey Steele's here so I can walk Bryce Harper. No, he went out to the mound and said, it's okay if Harper gets on because we're not letting him beat us. So there's going to be runners in scoring position in situations that teams are okay with because they like the matchup that they have at the plate better than they did the previous batter or pushing the runner to the next base. And that's where runners in scoring position, it's a stat, but I think sometimes in the playoffs it gets overblown.
And not only that, I'll follow up. But in the playoffs, in a short series or just even a long series, you're getting everybody's best arms. You're not facing the 6th and 7th reliever. You're getting top 3 or 4 guys, and those guys are not going to give in, especially with runners on. You're not trying to give up the big hit, and that's what you've seen with KC. They did a great job yesterday. Yankees hit some balls hard with runners on yesterday, but it just didn't fall through. It was right at them, but you're getting everybody's best shot, so it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, and I like what you were saying, Erik, about how they in these matchups, teams know going in, right? Like, I don't want to get beat by that guy, whoever their best guy is. And so far in this series, that's how it's played out. Judge hasn't done much, and Bobby Wood Jr. hasn't done much. He was 0 for 5 in consecutive games, those first 2 games of the series. It's for the first time in his career he's ever been 0 for 5 in back-to-back games. And you're right, it's because they're facing the best possible pitching. Okay, we're going to talk a lot of different is this bulletin board material type stuff today, because these division series are getting a little spicy. So Yankees take the first game, Royals take the second game, and Jazz Chisholm had something to say about how exactly the Royals pulled off this win.
How different does the series feel now after game 2 compared to after game 1?
Still feels the same that we're going to win it, I don't feel like anybody feels any different, We're going to go out there and do our thing still. We still don't feel like any team is better than us. Like you said, we had a lot of missed opportunities tonight, so they just got lucky.
Oh, he was doing fine until they just got lucky. By all means, say, we still feel good. We've got a good team. We can take them. I don't know. Do you think the Royals are on their plane watching that video over and over again?
I'll tell you what, I watched it last night myself, and Jazz is super enthusiastic guy. He has a lot of energy and super positive. So I understand where he was trying to go to. Is they hit a lot of balls hard with guys on there. It was right at them. So he's just optimistic that those hits will fall next time they play. So I love the energy from the Jazz, and why not make things interesting.
I love the confidence. I love the confidence at the beginning. You have to say that. I hate when guys are like, well, if we move on, when we move on. Like, that's a confidence you can share with your competitor. If your competitor's not saying it, shoot, they're freaking done. But right at the end, Jazz and the reporters in any city know this dude was styling for his home run, down 2 runs after he hits his solo homer. He was feeling it. Kind of like the whole 2 for 4, what's the score kind of thing. You knew he was going to give you a good soundbite, and his energy, I love what he brings to the Yankees. And his energy it's permeable, because sometimes the Yankees can be a little bit well, we're just all buttoned up and we're just going to go about and strike the guy out and see you later. We're going off the mound. They need Jazz Chisholm. And so if it is built bulletin board material for the Royals, I think it's also a little like prodding to his teammates, like, boys, we got this. And I think that's an awesome outward confidence to have for your team.
And on the flip side, Miguel Garcia had a 4-hit game, retweeting John Boy, tweeting Carlos Rodon celebrating, and Miguel Garcia said, "Don't celebrate too early." He also said, "We don't fear nobody." So the Royals they're not shy about getting out there and feeling confident too. I agree with you. I love the confidence. I just felt like, here's my take. You're saying, oh, they only won because they got lucky. Well, then I guess you didn't beat that good of a team. They only win when they get lucky. You should be saying that Royals team, that's a good team. That's a tough team. They're better than lucky, but we're going to beat them anyway. That's the kind of confidence I want to see from Jazz.
You gotta love the social media posts. Obviously super engaging. He had a good day. Garcia had a great game yesterday, so he can definitely talk the talk. So he walked the walk last night. So I'm okay with that.
I like the other tweet that Michael had was, we're not afraid, or we don't fear nobody.
We don't fear. Yeah.
We don't fear nobody. That's a double negative. So does that mean they fear people, Dellin? Does that mean they're fear? We don't fear nobody? Does that mean they're fearing them?
It's just probably, how can I put it? It says, I think you know what he was trying to say. He doesn't.
I know what he was trying to say, and I like that. I like that more than the don't celebrate too early one. I don't think like Rodon got his. Like if you thought he celebrated too early in the game, that's fine. But like you guys got to him. Like you didn't need to. You didn't need to add that in there. But man, do I love it. I love it because it's
don't poke the bear.
Right. Hey,
don't poke the bear, especially my man Aaron Judge. Ooh, I'm telling you, he's gonna hit a big home run this next couple games here.
I do. I like Miguel just taking to Twitter anything. Like I feel like we don't get a lot of that. Guys are so locked in. They're so serious. Postseason goes fast. You want to stay focused, but let us in. Let us know what you're thinking, what you're really feeling when you get home. I was checking like the timestamps on those tweets. Tweeted at like midnight. Like when you get home and you're lying in bed, you're reminiscing about your forehead game. By all means, tell the world what you're thinking, what you're feeling.
He hit it on the bus. He hit that tweet on the bus. And my thing, and I think Dellin would agree with me. Let's make sure we tweet the same things if we don't hit a homer in the ninth. Make sure we tweet the same things if we go 0 for 5. Like, be the same guy. But man, do I love the back and forth. I love this back and forth.
We love this. We love this. From the outside, we love this. The fans want to see this. They want to be able to see what people are thinking, and sometimes you got to take it to social media to let people know how you feel.
Other sports do it. Why can't baseball do it? Basketball, football, they do it. Like that's okay. Like this is okay, and it's not just bulletin board material for the other team. This pumps the boys up. Like if he's on the bus, if Michael's on the bus and he's like, "Hey, Poppy, you think I should send this?" And they're like, "Yeah, do it." That means the boys are coming together. Like that. It's not just negative towards the other team. It's bringing your boys together.
Absolutely. Okay, we are going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about, if you thought that was some bulletin board material, some getting spicy on Twitter, we got a lot more chirping at each other when we get back.
Hey FT fam, it's Alana Rizzo. I can't stop talking about Vuori. Vuori is perfect if you are sick and tired of traditional old workout gear. I wear Vuori in all settings, not just in the gym, because honestly, it's comfier than whatever you're currently wearing. No joke. I'm wearing Vuori daily leggings right now. They're high-waisted with the drawstring and cupped ankles. They look good and they feel great. You're going to love them. Vuori is an investment in your happiness. For our listeners, they are offering 20% off your first purchase. Get yourself some of the most comfortable and versatile clothing on the planet at vuori.com/foul. That's VUORI.com/foul. Not only will you receive 20% off your first purchase, but enjoy free shipping on any U.S. orders over $75 and free returns. Go to vuori.com/foul and discover the versatility of Vuori clothing.
Erik, you going to tell us about your shirt?
It's a Vuori shirt. I don't know, Hannah, if you've ever had Vuori. I don't think they make it in bed sheet size so that Dellin could get a Vuori shirt or pants. Like, I think my pants would probably be shorts for him. But I'm telling you, like, it's the net. I had never had any Vuori before. And when we started this partnership with them, I got a shirt. I got 2 shirts, and I'm like, why have I not ever had this? It's like, it weighs nothing, and yet it feels like a legit shirt. I wear this shirt to church. I wear this shirt to meetings. Like I feel like this is my adult shirt that I'm wearing. And I can also go into the gym and work out in it.
What meetings?
Okay. I don't have meetings, but I had a meeting this
I
morning.
was going to say, like, these meetings? Because we wear whatever with these to these.
No,
meetings.
I had a meeting with real people this morning. I was adulting. I was adulting.
Wow. Okay. I have a new baby. We've talked about this before. And babies get the softest clothes. It's always made out of like bamboo or something. And I don't know what your Vuori shirt is made out of, but if it's as soft as baby clothes,
Awesome.
it's
made out of awesome.
It does look soft. I'm not gonna lie, just from looking at it.
Yeah. I mean, if you were right here, I'd let you touch it. I'd let you touch it, Dill.
Dill, where are you? I mean, like, not specifically. Don't tell people your address. But are you in the city with me somewhere?
Maybe next time. I'm in Bergen County, but maybe next time I could join you, Kratz, right there, right next to you.
Yeah.
There
I'm
you
gonna
go.
have space. I'm gonna have space.
All right, we are back, and we are joined by Jack Harris, LA Times Dodgers beat writer. Okay, should we let you explain what happened? There wasn't even a game yesterday, but there was a lot of drama. Take us through kind of the backstory of the chirping back and forth, Flaherty hitting Tatis, and all of that we knew prior to yesterday. When we left Monday night, how are we feeling?
Yeah, so we'll go back to the sixth inning of Game 2. Jack Flaherty hits Fernando Tatis Jr. with a pitch to lead off the inning. Pretty clearly wasn't intentional, I think, to most people who saw it. Tatis had homered and doubled off him, but it's also a 2-run game and a playoff game. You're probably not trying to hit him. It didn't seem like Tatis thought he was trying to hit him. But Manny Machado did seem to think it was on purpose as some sort of response for Jack Flaherty not being able to get Fernando Tatis out. So as Fernando Tatis goes to first base, there was some chirping between Erickson Profar and Will Smith at the plate, but there was also Manny Machado yelling at Jack Flaherty from the on-deck circle. So when Machado comes to the plate, Flaherty strikes him out. He starts yelling back at Machado. In the middle of all this, like Dave Roberts said that he was looking at Machado and shaking his head as if, we would never throw at a guy in that situation. Fast forward to the next inning, Manny Machado and the Padres are warming up in the infield, throwing the ball around like normal. But then at the end of that, Machado turns towards the Dodger dugout in the video that I think a lot of people have seen by now, and kind of like sidearm one hops a throw that hits the netting right in front of where Dave Roberts is sitting. It seems from the video and also talking to people that saw it happen, like it was not a routine throwing the ball back to the ball boy in the dugout kind of thing. Like it was a throw with some intent in a situation and in a game where there were a lot of emotions. It was right after the shouting match with Flaherty. After that, Flaherty starts yelling back at him. But we didn't know about this throw at Dave Roberts until yesterday during the off day when Dave Roberts was asked about it and said, I didn't see it until I saw the video later, but it was unsettling. If it was on purpose, that would be really disrespectful. Obviously, this is a guy who's managed Manny Machado before with the Dodgers back in 2018. And while I think, when you look at the video, the ball, it's not like it zipped in and almost hit somebody in the head, but the Dodgers were really upset about it. Like they didn't think that instance they thought kind of crossed the line for, what you're allowed to do in these kind of situations. And led to quite a dramatic day on team workout day yesterday.
Malicious? Is this a malicious thing? I mean, I know you said it wasn't at anybody's head. It didn't zing past anybody's head. But is this malicious?
I think that's going to be one of the subjective things about this. I think, what it appears, I think to most people who saw it is that, Machado was just trying to send some sort of message or retaliatory something at the Dodger dugout. Like he wanted to get their attention. Now, Miguel Rojas was one of the guys who talked about this on the record. And he said, what happens if you miss with that throw and it does hit somebody? So while it maybe wasn't intended to hurt somebody or do more than just, get the attention of the dugout by throwing it into the netting in front of it, like the Dodgers looked at it as again, something that kind of crossed the line. Like there's a reason that, MLB is reviewing the footage, even though I would be stunned if anything comes of that. But, it's one of those situations where if you're a player or a team and in a heated game, that's just something that, like the way that some Dodger people explain it, it's like that's not something they would do, right? Like we wouldn't throw a ball at somebody else's dugout or something like that. So maybe not malicious, but definitely something that had some intent behind it. Maybe not to hit somebody, but to try to stir something up in that moment.
Okay, so tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if we have a video, a compilation that somebody put together. Tell me if my predisposed idea of Manny Machado, and I don't know if we can play the video now, of different things that have happened in Manny's career, but this is 2018, routine ground ball, tie ball game, and Manny kicks Jesus Aguilar. And to us, it looked intentional. And so you see that, and you see, this play where, hey, you know what? I don't think Manny did anything wrong here. But up until this point in his career, Manny had a feeling of, or had a look of, oh man, he tried to throw the bat at the pitcher and he threw it at the third baseman, saying it slipped. He's younger, making mistakes. So that looks bad, just like the kicked, like that's clearly intentional. The kick was clearly intentional to me. And the spike at second base, I don't think was intentional. I think it looked intentional. So am I taking those predisposed ideas of a guy and looking at this with ill intent and thinking he should get in trouble?
I think that plays into it. And I think the Dodgers' emotional reaction to this comes because of some of the reputation part of Machado and him being a guy that, obviously had kind of a complicated relationship with the team when he was there. And then when he left and with how the Dodger-Padre rivalry has played out. And I'm sure the public reaction, it feeds into that as well. I think like a situation like this shows that there's still some of that kind of side of Manny Machado in him for all the ways that, he has matured as a player and grown into a leader on this Padres team. Like the dugout meeting in that next inning still did happen. But at the same time, there's also stuff like this where, just you throwing the ball at the dugout there is probably one of those things where you kind of look at it, you go, is that really necessary? Like what are you getting out of that? At least that's how people on the Dodgers felt. So I think, like when you put all that together, it's a player who's obviously always going to kind of trigger an extreme response to something like this. It's somebody who has a history with the Dodgers and has been a big part of this rivalry. And again, does something that, I think in the moment that like players and people in the dugout were just so surprised to see him even do something like that, where maybe when you look at the video, it doesn't look so bad. But in that moment, the reaction it caused was instant. Like you saw Jack Flaherty get back up on the dugout rail and start shouting at him. You see Teoscar Hernandez in the videos trying to wave him away after that. So I think all that does play into just kind of how visceral the response to this has been.
Hey, Jack, Dellin here. For me, watching some of that the video clip, I felt like he was just throwing the ball back in the dugout. Obviously, Dodgers might feel a different type of way, and based on the scenario of the game, maybe it looks kind of like intentional. But when you're throwing the ball away, you usually throw it in that area where the ball boy is, and he just threw it. Flicked. Manny has a good arm. He just flicked his wrist, and I feel like, for me, I feel like it wasn't intentional. But especially him playing with the Dodgers a few years back, I know the rivalry kind of makes things a little more kind of interesting and on the relationship side. But the heat of the moment, I feel like I just feel like he shouldn't get suspended for it. But that's just my take. I want the best players playing out there. Obviously, I feel like it wasn't intentional, but you were there, so you probably have more gauge than I do. But that's just my perspective.
Yeah, and I think as far as the punishment point goes, like again, I don't think anyone's really expecting anything to come out of this. Even in the moment, like the third base umpire Trip Gibson saw the throw happen, did go up to Machado right away. And, he wasn't ejected from the game. Machado put his arm around him. They had a brief chat about it. That was one thing Dave Roberts was also upset about when he was asked if Machado should have been ejected, saying, I wouldn't like to see the umpire and the guy with their arms around each other. But, even in the moment for somebody who saw it, it didn't rise to that level of anybody ejecting him from the game or trying to take him off the field or something like that. So, and that's where, the gray area in this is. Manny Machado's story after the game was what you just said, that he was just throwing it back to the dugout to get it to a ball boy, like he does routinely. But that is not the way it was interpreted from people in the Dodger dugout for sure.
We were just talking before you came on about the Royals-Yankees series and the kind of idea of bulletin board material with the way that game played out yesterday. So, okay, Dodgers-Padres, they're going to play another game tonight in San Diego. Mookie is struggling. Freddie Freeman is a little hurt. They're going down to the Padres ballpark. How do you see the drama from those first two games playing out as we go forward? Is there still going to be tension on the field?
I think you're going to see a lot of emotion on the field. Even coming into this series, one of the things the Dodgers talked about was they wanted to match the Padres' intensity level. That every time they play the Padres, they feel like, San Diego treats it like a playoff game or a World Series game, and that in this environment, given that the Padres eliminated them 2 years ago, that they needed to raise their energy level and their emotion level to what the Padres do. And after, what's happened the last 2 days, like all that's only going to become more amplified. Obviously, there's the Dodgers side of it, but the Padres are also coming off a game where fans were throwing stuff at them on the field and there was a delay and you had the shouting matches. So I think both sides are going to be pretty emotionally charged. I think the crowd is going to be really interesting to see, already in what's probably one of the most raucous environments in baseball the last couple of years, just how they internalize all of this. Already the Padres were sending out emails this week asking their fans don't throw things on the field and stuff like that. So I think there's going to definitely be some edge in the game. And while I'd be surprised if anybody, is intentionally throwing at players or if there's some sort of manufactured, drama or altercation or something like that. If there's a situation in the game where somebody gets hit accidentally or there's something controversial that happens, like I wouldn't be surprised if things kind of spiral more quickly, just given how on edge I think both these teams are going to be going into tonight.
Players seem to control themselves during the playoffs. I know we just talked a whole section about what maybe wasn't the best control, but I think they control themselves in the playoffs, and I think the umpires do a really good job of that too. But we're talking about emotions. Now let's talk about the ankle that everybody's thinking about. Is there any new news? Is there any new news of why they pulled Freddie out of the game? Is it just for rest? Another day? Did he bounce back like they hoped he would for after that day or 3 innings of rest plus the day off?
Yeah, so Freddie left the game the other night because on that line drive he hit that Tatis made the running catch on, he kind of rolled over on it in the batter's box. That's something that he said even after game one. The only time the ankle really hurt it on that night was after he got a breaking ball, and just the way he finished his swing, it kind of hurt the outside of that right ankle. So apparently it was a similar situation in game two. This one was bad enough to where, he couldn't keep going in the game. The way the Dodgers have approached this with him is really on a day-to-day basis. So they gave him most of yesterday off. He wasn't out on the field participating in the team workout. He was getting treatment. Dave Roberts described it as just a mental break for him too. After Freddie Freeman was at the ballpark for like 12 to 13 hours each of those first 2 games of the series because he had to get there so early to get his ankle work done. And then they'll see how he comes in today, and they'll see how he goes through his pregame progression and routine and taking grounders and getting swings off in the cage. I think, the fact that he's been able to do that twice already this series and then end up playing is probably a good sign that he's going to be in the starting lineup tonight if the ankle has improved from the other night. But Dave Roberts also acknowledged that, if he does play tonight, maybe they have to sit him down tomorrow. Like they're trying to figure out how to best manage this, where they know that the more he plays, the more the pain is going to bother him, the tougher it's going to be on his ankle. So I think right now what they're trying to figure out is what's the right balance of playing and rest? How is the ankle responding from a day off? Let's try to get him into the game tonight, and then we can reevaluate again going into game 4.
Do you believe that, or is that posturing? Is that a little Dave Roberts playoff posturing? Is there any way that Freddie Freeman comes out of that game when it was if it's a 1-1 game and not a 3-1 game when he comes out of it? Is there any way that he misses any of these next 2 games?
It was amazing that he even played in game 1. And I think is kind of the reflection of, most people around the Dodgers did not think he was going to play even up to a few hours before the game. But then he comes out on the field, very locked in and determined to get through his pregame routine to show the team that he was able to play. And then he gets in the lineup and he gets a couple hits. I think it's something that the actual pain level of the ankle can kind of vary a lot, just depending on how much he's been doing on it. I think part of what game 2 was is the fact he had played the night before. So I do think it's again, unless he's having setbacks with it, which, he was told by doctors that he can't make it worse by trying to play through it. I think you're going to keep seeing him trying to get in the starting lineup. And I, if I had to take a guess right now, I think unless the ankle's gotten worse from the other night, he'll probably be in the starting lineup again tonight. The question is, the more he plays, can he continue to manage it? Can he play tonight and tomorrow? But the one thing he's made clear and has been kind of evident in his work is that he's trying everything he can do to get on the field. This is a guy who, even in the regular season, has disdain for taking off days. And the Dodgers' hope is that, every time they can get him a little bit of rest, it kind of helps him just recharge in some ways or alleviate some of the pain, and then to where he can get back on the field and play.
Who needs more treatment, Freddie's ankle or Mookie's hands and arms from the 300 to 400 swings that he took the other day? And is that a physical manifestation of his frustration of not getting hits?
Yeah, I mean, he did this last week when the Padres were in town after a game where he popped up 4 times to all 4 infielders. He went in the cage and was in there for hours, taking hundreds of swings. He said he did the same thing this week. I think the interesting thing about this postseason so far for Mookie is like the first game, he got on base 3 times with 3 walks. In game 2, he did hit a ball that went over the fence. It's just that Jurickson Profar reached into the crowd and brought it back. So it's not like past postseasons where he's had a ton of really bad at-bats and he hasn't come through in key situations. But it's the weight of those past playoffs that Dave Roberts thinks is weighing on him, that Mookie Betts acknowledged, he's aware of, and he knows how people are talking about. He hasn't had a hit in the postseason in 2 years and is 0 for his last 22 or whatever it is. And yeah, his process is when the results are bad, when I'm struggling to find confidence, I'm going to work through it. I'm going to go in the cage and take hundreds of swings. It was the same thing earlier this year when he was playing shortstop and making errors there and spending hours on the field pregame taking grounders. Like, this is the way that he tries to battle through things. And over large periods of time, he usually does it well. The question is, what could be the defining week of your season and potentially the last week of your season if you don't play well, can he get something to click in the cage? I think it'd really be helpful for him if he just got a hit to kind of take off some of the mental pressure in whatever form. But yeah, right now he's back in a spot where he's clearly frustrated. He's clearly trying to work through it. And given the fact that Freddie Freeman's not 100% and that, the Padres, I think, are going to pitch Shohei Ohtani carefully, he's a really important piece to how the rest of the series goes.
Yeah, that was my last question for you before we let you go, was just going to be, if Mookie isn't hitting and Freddie isn't playing, how do you like the Dodgers' chances going down to San Diego? Can Shohei do it himself?
Yeah, not as great of chances when those two things are happening. I think, part of what matters with Shohei's performance is the way the bottom of the lineup does. That was one of the quiet keys to game 1, the fact that guys like Gavin Lux had a big night and Tommy Edman had a bunt single. Miguel Rojas got on base, once or twice. And they put the Padres in situations where they couldn't walk Shohei Ohtani, where there were 2 guys on base when he came up and hit the 3-run homer. And that didn't happen as much, the other night against Yu Darvish. I think Darvish is also a tougher matchup for Ohtani. And I'll be curious to see how he responds to these next 2 nights. He talked a lot about the excitement he had coming into the postseason, not being nervous about it. But suddenly when you're on the road and that, if you lose a game, your season's going to be on the brink, I think it adds a different kind of pressure. Now, he can't carry him alone. I think getting a good start out of Walker Buehler tonight is going to be really important for the Dodgers, because if they fall behind again, that'll make it not just this postseason, but you go back the last couple of years, they are always playing from behind in October. And while they came back in game 1, there's just a mental strain that goes with that, especially when you do have some hitters who are struggling. So I think getting a good start out of Walker Buehler will be big. I think how they handle their emotions in a hostile environment will be interesting. My feeling is that these two teams probably split these games. I think there's also like one of these two nights the Dodgers can burn all of their good relievers like they did in game one. And if you get a couple big hits from Ohtani mixed in there, I wouldn't be surprised if we're back in LA later this week for game 5.
I really liked what you said earlier about the Dodgers trying to get their emotions on the same level as the Padres. I'm enjoying this series. I'm enjoying every time we see the Dodgers kind of bring their incredible star-studded, so much talent lineup to face a team that's like, we're just feeling hot. And I'm excited to see how it plays out. Thanks so much for being with us, Jack. And read Jack Harris at LA Times. Keep up with all the drama in the Dodgers-Padres series. We are going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to preview Phillies at Mets. We'll have AJ with us. We'll answer some questions. It'll be fun. Okay. Hello, YouTube audience. It's us again. Us still. Should we answer some fan questions? This one isn't really a question, but Bourbon in Baseball said, when Aaron Judge and Martin Maldonado are in the same stat category, it ain't pretty. That was about Judge's strikeouts in the postseason. Yeah, I didn't. I'm not the baseball player, so I shouldn't be the one who gets to say this. But I don't know. I know you were like, it's just a matter of time. Take the large sample size or the small sample size when it comes to Judge. But it's not that small sample of the size because it's not just this year. Aaron Judge has 46 postseason games to have racked up all those strikeouts and be slashing 208, 311, 449. That's my Judge skepticism for you.
I would like to look back at 27, 2018, 2019. I bet I bet he has some good numbers. Obviously, the last couple of years is probably what people look at, but I tell you what, in 3 weeks into the season this year, a lot of people were kind of worried about Aaron Judge, and then there he goes, 325, 58 home runs and 150 RBIs, set records for the career highs for him. But obviously, it's a short series, so the fans want it as soon as possible. But it's 1-1, and I have a feeling he's going to come up huge in the next couple of days here.
All right, we got one quick question for both of you before we get to the Phillies Mets. Do you guys ever go to games and sit in the stands amongst the people, amongst the plebeians?
I'll go first. I definitely do. I've done it quite a few times this year. The one place I do want to sit is in the bleachers for one of these playoff games. So I'm going to try to make my way there. Hopefully they get to game 5 and I can make my way there for maybe 1 or 2 innings.
Oh, yeah. Definitely sit in the stands. I'm just envisioning Dellin sitting in the stands. Like you ever seen those pictures of like a big bear, like riding a tiny little bicycle? That's like him trying to sit in those like normal sized seats. Like he needs extra leg room. So you need the bleachers. You're a bleacher guy though, Dellin. Like you need to be in the bleachers. And I can. That's what I mean. You were there. You were there as a kid. So I can fit in easy.
I was there for David Wells' perfect game.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now we get to talk about the series that I care the most about. It's Mets Phillies. I live in New York. I'm from Philly. My mom is from New York, and my dad is from Philly. The group chat has been torn asunder this week. It is as soon as the Mets clinched against the Brewers in the wild card. My husband, who almost never participates in the Kaiser family group chat, texted the group chat and was like, "Oh, I don't know that this thread is going to survive the next week." It's a lot of Mets Phillies fans in my family, and this has been a fun series so far. They're all fun series. I keep saying that. I keep being like, "Wow, what a great series! They're so evenly matched. It's so interesting." I I don't know. Where should we take this? Who's hotter in this series? The Mets with their magic last 2 weeks, or the Phillies with just a completely healthy lineup top to bottom that's can hit the ball out of the park, a great rotation, Wheeler, Nola, Ranger Suarez going. Who do we like in this series? Erik, I'll go to you first.
I like the Mets. I think if I go against the Mets, I'll get a lot of heat from people, anyways. But I do like the Mets. Just what they've been doing these last couple weeks. Them getting game one was huge against Wheeler. Obviously, the last game, if they were able to close that down, would have been nice coming to Citi Field 2-0. But the city is electric. Everybody's excited. Mets are in the playoffs. New York baseball is in the playoffs, so we love it. We're excited. This will be 2 huge games here in Citi Field, so I got the Mets.
I mean, you would choose the Mets, and how can you even have Mets fans as friends? Like, you're a Yankees fan. You played for the Yankees. You kind of played for the Mets a little bit. Like, you were just like, yo, I want to kind of stay home. Like, Mets fans, they're not even sure if they're excited that you're choosing the Mets. My thought, because you sit there and you go into these series and the narrative is, oh, is it too much rest? Are they rusty? Are their hitters rusty? And Phillies hitters, the scoreboard said they were rusty. I say they weren't rusty. I say they faced David Peterson, who has been probably the most underrated pitcher this season on a playoff team, which is crazy, and he has dominated the Phillies. And he's left-handed. So you go into this game where Sean Manaea has gotten a lot of love, a lot of notoriety for his arm change, his arm angle change, where he's dropped down a little bit farther. So this is going to be a tough game for the Phillies. But going into it, and I think even now, people know the Phillies are the better team. The Mets were hot. The Mets were hot. They could not do wrong. Mark Vientos hit a ball that was up at his neck against a guy who hadn't been scored on in a month and a half or 2 months earlier in the season. Now that he's hit a 2-run homer off him, they scored 3 runs the night before, 2 runs the night before. Like, the Mets are so hot and so locked in every at bat for 27 outs. I think it sways in the favor of the Phillies because they're not cold right now. It looks like their hitters have their timing back. We'll find out tonight, though. We'll find out tonight when Sean Manaea takes the mound with his new arm angle.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned they're hitting guys in the bullpen. These bullpens were good. I mean, Diaz had his struggles. I was gonna bring this up with the Emmanuel Clase. We'll get to that later. But it's across the board. Dylan, I wanted to get your take on this as a pitcher. It feels like the best relievers, the closers, the shutdown guys are struggling, particularly in this postseason. We saw the Mets get Pete Alonso hit the home run off Devin Williams. We've seen Diaz get hit, Hoffman for the Phillies, Emmanuel Clase. Why do you think the best pitchers who are being brought in specifically for these high leverage outs, why are we seeing them get lit up in October when they've been shut down all year?
Well, what I'll say with Diaz and Clase, they're facing the division, right? So these guys have seen Diaz a whole bunch of times. They've faced him a lot, and I think they've hit pretty good against him. And sometimes in the playoffs, if you get a couple guys on that, and you get the crowd kind of into the game, all it takes is one big swing, and they got a couple big hits off of Diaz. And Clase, same thing. He's faced Detroit a bunch of times, even though he's only given up about 5 runs all year, and he gave up 3 in that game. But it's kind of everybody's locked in. It's the playoffs. It's super exciting. It's the attention to detail. These guys face each other so much. They play each other so many times that I feel like that they're just more familiar with some of these pitchers, and they've been able to get them.
I think what Dellin said right there was really good. We got division matchups here. We got guys who have faced Edwin Diaz. I think Stott was like 2 for 5 against Edwin. Like, to have 5 at-bats against a closer outside of your division, would be really tough. Now, Detroit, Cleveland, that was, they have a bunch of young guys, but look who got him. Kerry Carpenter got him.
Mhm.
He's a guy that has if there's anybody with some experience on the Tigers, it would be Kerry Carpenter, one of their more experienced guys. I just think it's heightened. The adrenaline is there. Guys' best pitches are, just getting clipped. I don't think they're throwing bad, and I think it's kind of in the same ilk as Aaron Judge. I think you have to trust the best guys in your bullpen, and I think that's another reason I think the Phillies are going to come out on top here, because the Phillies bullpen, man for man, way outshines the Mets bullpen. And I know they have, if you keep scoring on Strom and Hoffman, the Phillies bullpen, who are you going to? They hit a home run off a Ryan Kirkering. These guys were legit. I think the Mets underbelly of their bullpen, probably pitchers, 3 through 7 in their bullpen, 4 through 7 in their bullpen are weaker than the Phillies. And I think that could be where the series sways and gets switched if Minaya doesn't go deep tonight.
Yeah, it's been interesting seeing the managers stick with their pitchers and how long they stick with them, because the Phillies, look, Rob Thompson is lucky in having a healthy Wheeler and a healthy Aaron Nola, because those are both guys who will go deep into a game. It's incredible that the Mets pulled out a win in that first game with Kodai Senga going just a couple of innings and Zach Wheeler doing Zach Wheeler stuff, because you're right, that bullpen got taxed early. They're lucky they've got Peterson, the Mets, because otherwise they would have blown through everyone throwing one inning at a time just in game one. Dell, you had something to say?
Yeah, I'll just say, going back to the question you said before, obviously on a short series, managers are doing things that are a little out of the norm, right? They're bringing guys a lot earlier, which I'm sure some of these guys have experienced this during the season. But now in the playoffs, you have Gaddis, which probably was unbelievable throughout the year, but he's getting pulled out before he gets his third out, which I'm fine with bringing Clase at any point of the game. But same thing with Diaz. He's coming in earlier in the game, which changes just dynamic of everything. These guys are used to coming in maybe 4 outs max, but now they're asked to do a lot more. And sometimes that also gets the best of you.
They're asked to do a lot more, and they're necessarily being asked to face the best hitters. That was my sort of working theory, the familiarity aspect, but then also just that if you're the best reliever in the bullpen in a postseason game, you're always being brought into the highest leverage situation in that game. They're not waiting until the 9th or even the 8th inning, like you're saying. They'll have you throw to the best guys, and the best guys, to bring it back to the familiarity point, those are the guys who will make an adjustment and who will be able to get those big hits if they see the same high leverage relievers over and over again. I can't believe this is the first time these two teams have met in the postseason, because it's been such an exciting series already. All right, Todd Zalecki at MLB.com wrote about how Bryce Harper has had regular season troubles at Citi Field. Harper saying, I imagine it's going to be pretty. Whoa, I did that quote badly. Harper said, I imagine it's going to be pretty hostile there. Wow, I cannot read that. Kratz, were there ballparks that you struggled at, and then you were just like, well, now it's in my head and I'm definitely going to struggle?
Me struggle? Hannah, you need to look up my baseball reference page. I look like I struggled at all the parks. I used to tell people they used to play a song before baseball games. If they played this song, I didn't play good. You know what that song was? The national anthem. Okay? Come on. Yes, there is. There's definitely is. And sometimes it can be in your head. Sometimes it's a real thing. Sometimes you just have to really, lock in a lot more. Like Mariners, for instance. Some Mariners hitters have complained that the batter's eye is not good. Houston hasn't won a postseason playoff game at home. They're not changing the batter's eye. They're not. At some point, it starts getting in your head. And yeah, you sit there and you go, man, I do not like I just something about this vision, this visual. I loved hitting in Fenway. I loved hitting in, Citizens Bank. I loved hitting in other small parks, like Great American Small Park. But I also loved hitting in the biggest park in the league in Kansas City. So yeah, there was There was places that your mind just has to get over it. And I think Bryce will, but it's something that he has to right now. He has to. The next 2 games are in Citi Field. So if you're like, I don't know if I can do it, the other team will sense that and they'll take advantage of it, even from a superstar like Bryce.
Not only the other team, but the fans. They want the material. They want the material. So Bryce saying that, Bryce strikes out in a big at-bat, they're going to let him have it regardless, but they want that. It's going to be super loud in Citi Field, so I can't wait for that.
All right, we are going to take another quick break. And then when we come back, at some point we'll have AJ with us, who is at Citi Field right now. I was going to be at Citi Field, but instead of hanging here with you guys, so I'll be there later to see the game. It's a beautiful day. I'm sure he'll look good in the light.
AJ's talkative. We got to get him on here. Don't be late, AJ. One time.
We get it. Mornings are nuts. No time for breakfast, but you need to get your day started right.
What if a delicious, nutritious meal could be ready in seconds? Support for Foul Territory is brought to you by Huel, the world's #1 complete nutrition brand. With over 400 million meals sold worldwide, Huel is trusted by millions of people looking to fuel their days with convenient, complete nutrition. Try it for yourself with this exclusive FT offer. 15% off with the code FOUL at Huel.com.
You know we're all about saving time, but we get hangry, like a lot. I recently fell in love with the Huel Ultimate Super Greens Powder, which is a perfect blend of 91 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients. I also love their complete nutrition bars, and those hot and savory pouches are fire too.
FT fam, give it a shot. Get 15% off with the code FOUL at HUEL.com. Unlock a healthier, easier way to eat with Huel. Nutritionally complete meals in minutes so you can focus on what really matters.
I feel like we should clarify that Bryce Harper probably is not afraid of Citi Field. Just want to make sure we. I feel like we were like, what if it gets in his head? No, like you said, Graz, he's gonna be good. He's a professional hitter. Also struggling for the Phillies though is Alec Boehm. Rob Thompson said he'll be back in the lineup tonight. I don't know. What do you think?
He's all-star this year. Yes, he had a hot April. You take his April away, he was kind of, a mid player, but he was still above average. That's their starting third baseman. I love that Topper kind of keeps the team on edge, that like, hey, you know what? You don't play well, you're coming out. But I don't think, you need to send that message all the time. It's not like, oh, Harper, you don't get a hit this game, you're not playing, or Turner, you're not. Boehm has to control his emotions. But with those emotions in a roller coaster ride, you get the peaks and the valleys. So to me, he's gonna be a key piece to this lineup because he smashes lefties. Minaya is gonna be tough. You can't really count on necessarily Harper or Schwarber to face a tough lefty like that. So I think he's huge tonight.
Yeah, perfect situation to put him back in the lineup. You're facing a lefty. You hopefully get him going, and it's just an extra bat that, like Kratz said, an all-star this year, a bat that can do damage, and you want him against the lefty. That's the perfect time to put him in there.
All right, another series tied 1-1. We talk Tigers versus Guardians. This was the Emmanuel Clase gives up a home run. He has allowed just 14 home runs in 320 and 2/3 innings in his entire career. This is just the third time ever he's allowed a home run on one of his sliders. This is how the Tigers rallied to tie the series at 1 game apiece. It was scoreless before this. I want to just bring it back to these closers are seeing the in-division rivals a lot in the regular season too. Is it like the pressure of the moment? I know it's familiarity. I know it's being brought into high leverage situations, but what did you see on that at bat, Dell? Look, we're gonna look at it right here. What is it?
Situations a little more magnified, right? He got a couple guys on. He tried to go cutter backdoor to Carpenter. Same pitch again, cutter backdoor. Then he threw a slider that kind of got in Carpenter's hands. It's a slider, but essentially is a cutter for a lot of people, right? But for him, it was a slider. Then he threw 3 sliders in a row, and the third one was right in the hitter's right to the swing of a lefty, right, like down, kind of down and in, middle in, I would say. And Carpenter, I mean, he punished that
There
ball.
it is.
Yeah, I mean, he tried to go away the whole time. He was going backdoor cutter away, backdoor cutter. Then he came in with the slider, swung and missed. Then threw another slider where he fouled off. Then that third one just hung. It stayed right there in the middle of the play, and Carpenter, had a big swing.
And as a result, a Tigers team that was 9 games under 500 in July is now about to host their first playoff game in a decade.
Best of 3 series. Best of 3 series now. No matter what you say about how the Guardians did, how Matthew Boyd pitched didn't even have a job coming out of spring training into May. Like, you sit there and you go, we have defied the odds. Both teams have defied the odds in different ways because nobody had the Guardians doing what they've been doing at the plate. They probably figured, they'd figure out a way to be a 500 team. Both teams have defied the odds. But to be where Detroit is right now, Tigers fans, Tad Brannon, a huge, huge fan of this show, needs to be so excited. He's the only Tigers fan in the entire Pennsylvania area, so he wears his orange jacket everywhere because this is the time. And this team figures out a way to win. And I'm not saying it's A.J. Hinch. I'm saying it's A.J. Hinch helping this team be put in situations. I think Stephen Vogt managed that game perfectly. If Stephen Kwan doesn't come up with that catch, we're talking about Class A blowing the game in the 8th inning, and maybe Stephen Vogt gets questioned, well, why'd you bring him in? He's not used to that situation. No. You put your best players out there. He didn't make the pitch, and there's plenty of times where pitchers don't make the pitch, and they still get away with it. Dellin will tell you don't have to make the perfect pitch every time. You just have to believe in your pitch, and you sit there and you go, Kerry Carpenter is forever a Tigers legend for that home run. Maybe bigger than the Maglio Ordonez home run. I know Maglio's had bigger implications, but this kept him in the game. That was a must-win, have to win for the Tigers because Tarek Skubal was lights out, and he's been lights out all year. There was this many expectations on him, and he reached it and exceeded it. That was a fun game to watch.
Super, super, super fun game, and Skubal. Man, this he's pretty nasty, man. Just for him to give him that outing. I mean, he's the best pitcher in the postseason. He's the best starter in the postseason. He shows up when it means the most for the team. The back's against the wall. If they lose that game and they go down to the series is over. But Stephen Vogt was like, this is my chance right here. I'm bringing in Class A, trying to keep this game tight to see if we can walk it off in the bottom of the 9th. If you win against Skubal, the series is over. And so Carpenter to hit that home run, that was big time.
All right, I think we have AJ. AJ, do we have AJ? Hello.
We can bring. Do we have to introduce AJ as like AJ at heel on Twitter?
Wow. Where are you? You in the booth?
Wait, what? Why can I not hear you, Hannah? I could hear you until they brought me in.
Oh,
no.
Well, can you hear us, AJ? Because if you can't hear us,
beautifully. I hear Kratz beautifully. Maybe it's
all right. Well, then,
Kratz, you'll just have to translate for us. Tell AJ.
Oh, there we go.
Hi.
Now I got you. Now we're good. Now I got you. Sorry, It's a little loud. They're playing a little OMG here at Citi Field.
Are they?
No,
have they just been playing that on a loop? I was gonna say,
Yes.
is it always OMG?
That and the Grimace song are the 2 songs they play over and over, one after the other.
The Grimace song.
Does Grimace have a song?
I don't know, but if he did, I'm sure they'd play it.
Is this the first time we're seeing your hair on this show?
On this show, I believe it is, yes.
Wow. Do you want to like show us what you got?
AJ looks so much more arrogant with hair.
Hey, we have a special guest joining us in 2 seconds, by the way.
Ooh,
Okay,
the Howie Rose. While you get Howie hooked up,
Let me see your phone.
I'm just gonna talk smack on AJ, but he just looks arrogant with his hair.
Hey,
Like I know this is coming from a
hold
bald
on.
guy, but
Hold on. Cut me out for a minute. We got to figure this out with Howie. Hold on 1 second.
all right, they'll figure it out.
Yeah. You have what iPhone do you have?
Mendy, so I wanted to ask you about Edwin Diaz next. So what has your projection been like with him from the start of the postseason up until this point in terms of where you're thinking about using him and also how you're checking in with him, right? I mean, everyone's throwing the number out. He's pitched, I think it's 130 pitches in the last 8 days, which I'm sure you and the team behind the scenes knows well.
Yeah, man, we've been riding him pretty hard, not a secret. But these are some of the conversations that I have with him as soon as he gets to the ballpark. Our pitching coach, Jeremy Hefner, talks to him all the time. Jose Rosado, our bullpen coach, and then our trainers, And Sugar is always pretty honest with us, and yes, we took care of him the whole year. And we got to this point, and, I think he's just having a feel for the situation, Sugar being honest with us. I usually, I'm telling him way before the game, as soon as he gets to the ballpark, I'm kind of communicating with him some of the potential scenarios that he could be in play. It's like, hey man, like I know I'm only got 4 outs from you today, but that might happen, in the 7th or in the 8th if their best hitters are coming. And it depends on where we are bullpen wise too. Like if I feel like I have some of the other high leverage relievers, then that might not be the case that day. But the perfect example was yesterday. We were short with some of our relievers, and I felt like the game was right there. He wasn't going to finish that game. He got out of that 7th. He went back out for the 8th to face their top of the order. It just didn't happen. But if he would have got through that 8th inning, I was going someone else. I wasn't going to say Sugar for that 9th inning, like I said, because he's been throwing a lot. But he also came off from 2 days off before the outing yesterday. So we felt good about it. But once we lost the lead, that's when I went ahead and took him out of the game. So off day today. I saw him earlier. Feels really good. So that's a good sign. He should be good to go tomorrow.
All right, we're back. We have AJ, we have Howie Rose, voice of the Mets since 1995, and we're going to live adjust their shot.
Well,
Claudia, Gabs, do we like this view of them, or should we?
Hannah, this is all I got, man. This is best I
This is
can
the
do.
best we can do. All right. Welcome.
Hey, we're doing this on the fly, Hannah. So you have to understand that we don't have the best setup. Trust me, where I was originally set up, you couldn't have seen our faces because there was a giant light behind us. So at least this way we can see Howie's gorgeous mug.
I was trying to avoid that, but you got to do what you got to do. This is the postseason.
You guys would have looked like anonymous, like witnesses. We could have just had you backlit silhouettes, could given us some scoops on the Mets without being able to be identified. All right, Howie, I'm going to ask you a question just to lead this off because you've covered the Mets for decades. Where do those two games, the first game against the Braves and the last game against the Brewers, rank amongst all-time Mets games that you've watched, covered, called? What do you make?
Well, it's kind of funny, Hannah, because after Lindor hit his home run and they beat the Braves last Monday to secure a spot in the wild card series, a couple of people asked me that, and I chewed on it a little bit and said you can make a case that that was the biggest, certainly regular season home run hit in the history of the Mets. And so then you fast forward, I mean, what was that, Monday? And we're talking about 72 hours later or whatever, when Pete Alonso hits his home run, and you can make the case that's one of, if not the biggest home runs they've ever hit. So I mean, I would look at Lenny Dykstra's home run to win Game 3 of the National League Division Championship Series against Houston in 1986. But this one, they were 3 outs away from Winter when they came to bat in the 9th inning, and they had been completely shut down for 8 innings, and then out of seemingly nowhere, they deliver another chapter in what's been kind of a storybook season, and it only makes you wonder what's next.
Yeah, what is next? That's what I want to know. What can they do to top all these things they've already done? I mean, Game 1 of this series, they got completely shut down for 7 innings by Wheeler.
Right.
And then they out of nowhere, they score 5, and they win that game. And then Game 2, obviously they had the lead. Sevy made some mistakes. Then Nimmo hits a home run. Then Vientos hits the home run. They give it up. But what can they keep doing? Is it every game you're like, all right, we're just going to wait till the 8th. We're going to score in the 8th late, and then magic's going to happen.
Well, I guess they've got the advantage of having done that and having it work for them. It's certainly not part of the strategy and what they talk about in the meetings. But, and you've been in situations as a player where a team gets on a roll, or even a player or two get on a roll, and you start thinking that if you're not invincible, well, then nothing phases you, right?
Yeah.
And I think the Mets are at that point right now where they are as nonplussed as you can be when you get into crunch time. So they've got that going for them. A lot of times, as the cliche goes, a team can only be as hot as it or its opponent's next day pitcher, and we'll see how that translates today.
Howie Rose, it's Dellin Betances here. I got something for you.
Hey, Dellin, how are you?
How many suits did you pack up for the longest road trip you've ever been on?
You know what? I packed them as I saw them and just fired them in one by one. But I got to tell you, Buck Showalter, and you probably remember this, told us one of the great stories of all time when it came to packing. Nick Markakis, terrific player with the Orioles and later the Braves, and Buck had him in Baltimore. Markakis said to his teammates, he said, guys, you're going to see me wearing the same clothes on the road all year because I'm packing once. I'm going to pack my suitcase. We get home from the road trip. I give the suitcase to the clubbies. They're going to have it cleaned, repack it, and that's what I'm wearing again on the next road trip. That's a great strategy, and I'm not at all embarrassed to say I'm using the Markakis method the rest of the postseason.
Love that. Love that.
Except the clubbies won't repack for me.
No, I think they will
Or
for you,
clean them.
Howie. I think Kratz muted himself. Didn't you
Kratz
hear him?
is muted. I can't hear him.
No, but I
Hear me?
can't read lips either.
It's a great question.
Try again.
Yeah. How about later? Can you hear me now?
There we go.
I got you. I got you now.
Somebody muted me. I don't know. I'm at my own home place. I don't have a beautiful stadium to call my office. But all I was going to say was, did you think this team was going to be where they are in May when you were watching this team?
Of course not. No one could have. Obviously, you've got a team that thought it was better than it had played to that point. But no, because it felt like the wheels were falling off, especially in that series with the Dodgers where they were swept and it was punctuated by the Jorge Lopez hurl of the glove into the stands here. But that might have been the turning point, really, because they had a clubhouse meeting immediately thereafter. And basically, J.D. Martinez and a couple of others said, look, right now we stink and everybody expects us to stink. Nobody expects us to do anything. So you know what? All right, let's just go have fun and see what happens. Pressure's off. And it's almost as though the water started flowing through the faucet right then, because I think the thing that a lot of people tend to overlook is that from that point on, which was the end of May, for the last 4 months of the regular season, the Mets played at a percentage that would translate to over 100 wins over a full season. They had the best record in baseball over the last 4 months. This is not a spurt. This is not a team that just got hot at the right time. The thing that everybody has to realize is whatever happens today, tomorrow, and who knows when else, this is a good team. They're not necessarily peaking. They've been a good team for quite a while, and they're playing like one.
What was it, 67 and 40 since the start of June?
Yeah.
Something crazy.
And that's
like
10 games better than the Phillies since that date.
Okay, so which one of the gimmicks is your favorite? The OMG, the grimace. I mean, what else can we go?
Pete's Pumpkin.
Yeah, Pete's Pumpkin. I mean, you have he has the orange and blue Mets tie on.
Yeah.
I mean, there was an earthquake. What's your favorite gimmick of these Mets this year?
I might be too old to get caught up into any of that because, I mean, I go back to Tug McGraw and You Gotta Believe. That was a gimmick, and it wasn't really a gimmick. I mean, it's a relic now, and it was a rallying cry to a team that people had dismissed as done like dinner. So I don't know. Grimace is for the kids. OMG is for the kids. And Seymour Wiener, trust me on this, that happened at the beginning of the year. A wonderful 90-plus-year-old World War II veteran who was honored here. And on social media, everybody got a kick out of that. Oh, Seymour Wiener, ha, ha, ha. And so he became something of a rock star here. So I'm just going to leave this in the hands of the players, the coaches, the manager, the front office, and whatever they want to latch on to. Good for me, too. Seriously.
I can't believe we just had Howie Rose say Seymour Wiener on our show. But
God bless him, a World War II vet.
I know, he's a World War II vet. I mean, he could have just put, I guess he put S. Wiener on. Anyway.
Yeah, Mr. Wiener.
My question, sorry, anybody with a last name Wiener, that's just tough. But my question is on your last statement. Oh, tell Amin to get out of the shot one time.
Yeah,
Jeez.
right?
He's the good-looking Adam, because here comes the ugly Adam. There's the ugly Adam. That's the good-looking Adam.
Adam Wainwright is such a nice man. I mean, a genuinely good human being. No, there's a point I'm making. But if I walked around with Adam at Citi Field right now, and people might not recognize him, and I say, hey, say hi to my good friend Adam Wainwright, Met fans would go, no, not him. No, get out of here. It really was a hell of a pitch.
It was a good pitch. Good curveball. Sorry, never made it there. But Howie, your last statement, you talked about they're playing better than the Phillies. You see this Mets
they're playing
team
better than people expected them to. You know, the Phillies over 4 months, I guess the Mets have been 10 games better in the standings, but the Phillies had less to prove down the stretch than the Mets did too. I think that's important.
Are the Mets better than the Phillies? That's my question. And
pretty good
are
answer
they a better team?
Late Friday night. You know, I look at the Phillies as being somewhat battle tested. So I would give them the edge from that perspective that they've been here. And they're not going to be, as we saw, it was proven on Sunday, you know, if they're backed into a corner, they're going to fight. They're going to come off the ropes. And you have to expect that. And you have to be ready for a counter punch. And you have to know that they have the ability to throw the knockout punch. But what we've learned just over the last week, never mind 4 months, is that this Mets team, they can take a punch. So if you knock them down, you'd better knock them out.
Hey, Howie, I got one question for you. I seen the video. All the New York fans sent me the video of you on a plane ride when they're replaying the home run call, and then you walk back to and everybody's just giving you a round of applause. Where do you rank that in your time with the Mets?
Yeesh, that's in its own separate category. You know, being inducted into the Mets Hall of Fame last year was as big a thrill as you could have. It's kind of a lifetime achievement award, especially for a kid who grew up here, where the Mets controlled my moods from the age of 8 years old on. But this right here, this doesn't happen. You know, the section of the plane where you just saw me walk into, you know, that might have been in a different zip code from where we sit, because there are lines of delineation on team charters. Not that we wouldn't necessarily be welcome back there if we came back to say a quick hello to somebody, they wouldn't be able to throw us out of the window on the fly, but some of them might think about
There's
that.
a hard rule we need to explain it. Like the wing, like the media doesn't get past the wing normally unless they're invited back.
Yeah.
And in this situation, Howie was not only invited back, he was the guest of honor.
Yeah, that
And
was
so-
pretty.
Yeah. Based on that alone, it's unique, surreal, and frankly, something I'll remember for the rest of my life and greatly appreciate.
That's awesome.
Well, I'm curious. I want to know how when Pete hits that home run, we're like, oh, Pete's feeling himself. He's in the zone. When you make a good call, do you feel like you're in the zone? Are there like calls that you make where you're like, I'm hot today. I'm making great calls.
Hannah, I really don't think so. And I'm not trying to be humble. It's just that, particularly on radio, and when you have a moment like that, your mind immediately transitions from, okay, I called the home run. I got the ball going over the wall. Now, given the enormity of the moment, I'm a reporter, and I've got to chronicle and detail everything that I'm seeing on the field. So you don't have time to think about saying anything catchy or that'll particularly draw the attention of someone 10, 20 years down the road. You're looking at what's happening. That moment was so big, so big that from the moment that ball went over the fence, I've got to track Pete going around the bases, because years from now, people are going to hear that. And if they don't have and didn't have the ability to see it, at least in real time, I've got to paint the clearest picture possible. So I need to see and explain what Pete's like as he approaches home plate, who's waiting for him there. The Mets pouring out of the dugout with the game in progress there, that's something you almost never see. I mean, I remember the Cardinals doing that when Jack Clark hit a home run against Tom Niedenfuer in the 85 National League Championship Series. But it's that unique, you know? So I've got to chronicle all of that. So I don't feel like I'm in any kind of zone there. I'm just thinking, see it, say it, and don't blow it.
You didn't blow it. You did awesome. And Mets fans, Mets kids fans are going to remember that forever. So you did awesome. But I have one quick question.
Yeah.
Do you hate it when these national guys just come and swoop in for these games? Like, you've been grinding the whole season, 162. Look at him. Look at him right now. Look right next to you. He fixed his hair. He's like, he's got a nice tan because he was out on the golf course while you were grinding it for 15 days on the road. But these national guys, they just come in. You have anything to say to those guys? Kind of arrogant.
I love it. You know why? Because with this face, I'm on radio. I need to remind you, I'm a radio announcer. And when the networks come in to do the games, our radio ratings go through the roof. So I love when those guys do it.
That's fine by me. As long as they're watching us and listening to Howie, I'm good with that. Listen, that's fine. Just turn it on, turn the sound off if you don't like us, and go listen to your local radio booth. That way, everyone's supported at the same time.
And by the way, if you want to kill those during the inning interviews, feel free.
Okay.
Wow.
Howie Rose said it here. Tell Judy. Tell Judy. Tell her.
Hey, by the way, there's a picture outside of Howie's radio booth from him from like 1978.
Picture.
He's got
77.
full pimp outfit on with like the fur coat and the high collar, full head of hair. I mean, just sideburns. It is worth seeing if you ever get to Citi.
You folks don't remember a clothing store in New York called Robert Hall, kind of a discount clothing place. Well, I had that picture taken that AJ's referring to. This is when I worked at WHN Radio. And when the station manager saw the picture, he said, well, it looks like a Robert Hall suit. Took a beat, and then he said, Robert threw it out and you hauled it in.
All right, we're going to need AJ to take a picture of that picture and tweet it from the foul territory.
Yeah, you'll have fun with that.
Howie, thank you so much.
My
and
pleasure.
I think next time you call an incredibly dramatic late inning go-ahead home run, you should flip the mic.
Yeah, I can't do that. The feedback would be terrible. The bounce you get. It'd throw me right off. Thank you, though.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back.
All right, the bye week is what everybody talks about. Oh, you haven't played for the whole week, and other teams, these guys are rusty. Whammo! 5 runs, first inning. What were the conversations like? Did you hear the hitters? Because mostly talked about hitters, but it could be pitchers too. But did you hear the hitters like, oh man, my timing's just off? Besides Hosey's timing, Hosey will be 60 years old and his timing will still be on. But did you hear that? And did they talk about that? And did they have those conversations?
Did not hear a word about it. I think everyone was more happy to have the rest, if anything. Like we played,
So
I think in September we had like a 17 game like straight stretch, and then we had like day off, 2 games against Cincinnati, day off, and the 2 games against Houston. So I think at that point to end the season with that, it was kind of nice to get some rest and kind of get healthy, or if some people had some nagging stuff to just like get it out of there. I think in our case, when our pen has been so good, I think our job as starters right now, whether it's me, Boyd, Cobb, Lively, Gavin, Cantillo, like it's to get the ball to them and for them to do their thing. And I completely get that. And the whole point of the playoffs is to win. And that's been our formula all year. Obviously, it's a little more exaggerated right now because it's the playoffs, but dude, I get it. They've been historically probably definitely top 5 bullpen of all time in the regular season. So I get it. I totally get it.
Tanner, do they know that? Like when you talk to them, and we've had some of them on, like we had, I think the last one was Gaddis maybe a month ago or so, but do they know how good they are?
I mean, they kind of just do their own thing. I mean, Cade's a freaking robot. Gaddis just kind of goes out there and just hucks the ball. Same with Clase, and they all just kind of just go out there. They'll go out before the game, they'll throw, they'll play catch, they'll run, and they'll go into the bullpen and watch Catfished until the BP. They'll shag BP, come inside, play cards, and go out to the bullpen. That's what they do every single day.
It's just us 3, and we got to vamp while we wait for AJ to get himself ready. What should we talk about while we're waiting for AJ? Should we talk some flack about him?
AJ?
Are we allowed to curse on here? I don't know.
No cursing
okay,
right
good.
now. During our YouTube segments, you can
all right. I'll get my fill
you
back.
can get your perforated, explicited words out.
Yeah, they warned me before I got on today, so I'm clean today.
Is this not how you usually are, Del?
I try to keep it clean as much as I can.
He keeps it clean. He keeps it clean unless he gets angry.
Yeah.
They're telling me we got AJ. All right, let's bring on AJ, who is with Adam Amin, who's calling the games with him. Hello.
What's happening, everybody?
We've been talking about this series, but now we're going to talk about it with you. How do you feel about the national broadcasters coming in and taking over these exciting games after?
Disgusting. We should be ashamed of ourselves in this sport. I don't know how we can stand to do it. I think we're doing it right. I won't say it the way AJ said it, right? Where I'm trying to upset anybody. I'm not trying to upset anybody when I'm calling these games. I think it's more important to just call the game with excitement and some energy, and that's just how I am. AJ knows this after.
But when I said what I said yesterday, I wasn't saying we're trying to upset everyone. What I said was we're doing it right because everybody's upset at us. Because that means, Hannah, your Philly fans are mad at us, right? And then Betances Mets fans are mad at us. So it's like, okay, both of them are upset because we're both so homerish to either team, or we're so mean to each team that everyone hates us.
I tweeted something out the other day, and it was basically the 4 quadrants of bias, right? It's somebody said we're anti-Phillies. Then another person said we're for the Phillies, strictly for the Phillies. Then somebody said we're anti-Mets. And then somebody said we're clearly for the Mets, using some very colorful language with various parts of the human anatomy mixed in there. So I think this is more of a psychological conversation than it is a sports conversation. I think that's what's interesting about it. This isn't about sports. It's the human psychology of listening to the same crew, listening to the same group of people, guys and girls that you like listening to, that you're used to. For, I mean, what does a local broadcast crew get at most? 140 games, probably?
More than that, 150.
150
games?
probably. If you're not on a not particularly great team that's not going to get a lot of national television time, you're going to see these people for 150 games, 9 innings, 2.5, 3 hours, 3.5 hours a day, the whole year. So you get used to their cadence, you get used to how they call a game, and more importantly, you get used to how they frame things, right? Every conversation is framed through a very specific and particular prism. Whereas for us, we're just tracking the game. Like, people were saying, well, why are you talking about how the Phillies can come back in this game while the Mets are batting? Well, think about this. The Phillies have to stop the Mets right now from scoring anymore, and they're the favorite. They're the division champion. They're down in this game with a chance to maybe lose one of their precious home games and one of the most vaunted playoff atmospheres in baseball. So I think the framework of that is not what people are used to, and that's okay. I also have to say, it's okay for fans to feel that way. I'm not an arbiter of how people should feel. I'm just not going to treat you like you're a child. We're adults. We're calling in a bunch of adults playing a kid's game. We take it seriously. It's a big money sport. It's a great television sport. It's high drama. That's what we're here for. And we do our best to just cover that in the moment. And we're not really thinking about a specific fan psychology or the framework of how we talk about these things.
I take any time, any opportunity I can to take a shot at AJ. When he's on the Fox broadcast, I think you guys are awesome. You guys are impeccable. So know that I'm always looking to take a shot at AJ, but you guys are awesome. And I have to ask, my question is, are you having as much fun doing this series as it sounds? It really comes through. And I get to talk to AJ. I don't get to talk to you. It comes through in the way that you guys are interacting, but also how you're calling the game. So are you having as much fun as it sounds?
We've been doing this now. It's our 5th year together at Fox. I've done playoff games for 5 years with AJ. This is our 4th year together with Wayno. And I think this is a time of year that all 3 of us really look forward to. Verducci too. Like I just think we're really excited to be here because we love baseball. We love playoffs. Playoff baseball is one of the greatest things in sports to me. It's what, we learn about drama with, right? Like, this was my drama growing up, watching whether it was, the Marlins come out of nowhere in 97 to make this run, whether it was watching the Subway Series in 2000. I paid attention to the Fox broadcast. I grew up idolizing Joe Buck, getting to call playoff games, and Matt Vespersian and Kenny Albert. And I get to do this for a living now, which is the coolest thing on the planet. So I hope it sounds like we're having a good time, because I love sitting next to AJ. I love sitting next to Wayno. These guys together, I think, are exceptional. 3-man booths are not easy in this sport. In any sport, they're hard, and it's very easy to get overloaded with talking. It's very easy to lose sight of what you're focused on because every pitch can mean something. And these guys are so good at broadcasting playoff baseball, where they know when to get in, when to get out, when to let the crowd tell the story. I'm not an everyday baseball broadcaster. I don't think I'm as good as the guys who do this job and the girls who do this job every day, or who do 140 games. So I'm only doing 20 games a year, and I'm lucky enough to get to do 5 of the biggest, or hopefully 5 of the biggest games of the season. They give me a lot of space, and they make me feel comfortable too. And I think that allows all 3 of us to feel like we get to enjoy the moments that we're fortunate enough to get to cover over the course of this week.
Adam, I got a question for you. It's Dellin Betances here. Does DJing help your calls?
Does it help the call? No. Does it help keep the word rhythm in mind? Maybe. I guess that's the way I could connect these 2 things. Like, the wonderful thing about broadcasting in general, but in particular broadcasting baseball, and for those of us who listen to Howie, I used to work in New Jersey in minor league baseball, and I listened to Howie during the night games. I listened to Vin Scully coming up when I was a broadcaster. Love this guy right here too. There's a musicality about how they call the game. It's intonation, it's inflection, it's a performance with your voice. You're trying to build drama in a moment, anticipate the drama. Again, I refer to these 2 guys, the way they handled the Harper and Castellanos back-to-back home runs the other day. Like, they were in a rhythm of it. I hit the call, we let it breathe, we let the crowd come, the next at bat comes, we're in a rhythm, Castellanos hits a home run. There's a musicality to how we call it, there's a rhythm to how we call it, and I've been a musical person my entire life. I started playing the guitar when I was 13, I played the violin when I was 7, trained to be an opera singer for like 3 months when I was 14 and realized that wasn't going to be a real thing. And I started.
I did not know that. I did not know you were an opera singer.
I was thinking about going to Italy for a portion of high school, and I ended up not doing that. But I started DJing around the same time, and music has always been a big part of my life. So rhythm and intonation and musicality, I think, are things that fit the things I like to do away from broadcasting, and I think it helps us in broadcasting too.
By the way, one of our producers is getting married, so she wants to hire DJ Bulls Guy for her wedding, okay? DJ Bulls Guy!
That is not my actual, I don't have a DJ name, but still, DJ Bulls Guy is one that AJ's been pushing for the last year and a half.
Okay, this is not what I was going to ask, but now I got to know. In a pinch, could you do the national anthem opera style if whoever was scheduled got sick
Are you
or
like,
stuck in
what are you?
traffic?
Are you like a,
So I was a tenor,
I was going to say, yeah.
and then when I was like 16, my voice dropped to the point where I could not be an operatic tenor anymore. If I really needed to, I think I could do it in a pinch. I haven't. We had to sing it all the time growing up. You know, when you're in choir and theater and whatever, you have to learn the national anthem by heart because we sing it at all these games and stuff. So if I needed to in a pinch, Hannah, I think I could.
Would you be more nervous for that than you are for calling a game?
Yeah, 100%. Here's the thing. They can't see us when we're calling a game. Like when we're calling games now, this time of year, there's millions of people watching, which is awesome. I can't see any of them. I don't think about them during a game. I think if I had 40,000 people staring at me like they might be, to whoever's singing the anthem tonight at Citi Field, I feel like that would be way more nerve-wracking.
I was noticing watching these games that, and you sort of reference this and going through the musicality, you do really let the home runs especially speak for themselves. You take a step back. Do you have a philosophical sort of bent in terms of how you call those really big moments, and how do you work in stories and anecdotes versus calling the action on the field? Like, do you have an overarching philosophy, or are you just vibing with the moment?
I think there is a philosophy. And then because I think the philosophy works for television, for better TV, I think then we get to vibe with the moment. And the crowd is the vibe. Like here, it's going to be insane tonight. It was amazing in Philadelphia. You guys know it's one of the best atmospheres in baseball. This is the biggest playoff. This is the biggest game at Citi Field in 9 years. Like I know they had the wild card a couple of years ago. They had the wild card game in 16, but really since the World Series, I don't think there's been this much buzz for a Mets team because of the ride that they've been on. So the atmosphere tonight is going to be incredible. And I come from the school of Joe Buck on television. The director, baseball is a director's sport. I think football is an analyst sport. I think baseball is a director's sport. The pictures and the sounds do so much of our heavy lifting that we don't have to fill all this time, and we don't have to constantly talk about certain things. These guys are so good because they talk about things that are very pertinent in the moment, or we're having a good time. That helps too. But I think philosophically, when the crowd is really great, I'll do something with these guys just because we only do 5, 6, 7 games a year together. I kind of direct them a little bit just personally. I'll say, hey, if I put my hand up, that doesn't mean you guys have to stop talking, but I'm going to lay out for the crowd. I'm probably not going to say anything because we want the scene, the picture, the sound to take a lot of it. And then in terms of calling like a home run, especially if it's the home team, I want to punch it and then get out of the way like we did for Harper and Castellanos. And if it's like a Vientos home run, like we saw in the late innings in game 2, I kind of want you to experience the silence of 40,000 people all of a sudden shell-shocked. And I want you to see the reaction of this 24-year-old kid who just literally took the biggest swing of his entire life, of 24 years. That's the biggest thing he's ever done professionally and in this sport that he loves. And he's pumped and he's screaming. And we hit the call, cap it. It's tied at 6 in the 9th. And then the silence is part of the scene. It's part of television. That's great TV to me. And I know fans are like, well, he's not talking. So, why doesn't he like our team? Or why isn't he talking over the call? I want you to experience the silence that just stunned 42,000 people.
Hey, Adam, I have a question. So as a pitcher, we tend to, work on our deliveries, whether it's dry side, mound work. What are some of the stuff that you do? Like, do you do mirror drills where you have to see how your voice is and stuff like that. What's your routine you have?
My old buddy Ryan Rucco, who does some Yankee games as Michael K's backup. I figured you had seen that before. He has this really distinct like warm up, right? I don't really do that anymore. You know, I think I'll have to do that if like we're deep into a series and my voice is starting to scratch a little bit and it's getting a little, you know, gravelly or something like that. You know, some tea and some warm ups are pretty good, but I try to stay very steady early, and I don't want to go too far up early in a game because, again, we want to leave room for bigger moments that may take place later on in the game. And I think just naturally over the course of the first inning or two, you know, I kind of settle in, my voice kind of settles in. But I don't do like anything extensively for warm-ups. Like I know Ryan does it. Aaron Boone, when I broadcasted games with Aaron Boone when I was at ESPN, and he has this very distinct like vocal warm-up. He's like massaging his vocal cords and doing like you know, doing stuff with like his lips, like doing stuff like that.
Like, oh, now, Brown.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. The arsonist was denied a bank loan is pretty much what I say before a game, but I don't have the extensive warm up like some other guys do.
All right, I got two quick ones for you. Have you seen anybody get more free food than AJ?
He knows good people. I'm never going to disparage that because I get to be a beneficiary of such things, especially when we go to like Milwaukee. We see our buddy Chef Lauren Rue is the best. And I think what's nice about baseball, I mean, first off, ballpark food I love, especially when it's like high-end ballpark food. There's more and more ballparks are kind of delving into the higher-end class of hot dog and nacho and brisket and stuff like that. I love ballpark food. I think there's something special about it. And now that it tastes even better, I think the parks themselves want to advertise how good it is to come to the ballpark and eat a bunch of food that you wouldn't eat in any other atmosphere and drink some good drinks and enjoy the game. So I remember John Miller, obviously the legendary voice of the Giants, a longtime Sunday night guy. He said he was at a Giants game, and I think it was Lon Rosen was the play-by-play announcer for the San Francisco Giants for a long time. He looked up into the booth and saw Lon calling the play, and then he would stuff a bunch of French fries in his mouth, and then he would take a pull from his glass of something, whatever it was, at that time. And John said, that's the job that I want. And that's kind of what we get to do. Like, it's pretty cool that we get to go to the park, watch some ball, eat some food, hang with your buddies. Exactly. I do not like seeing pictures of me right now because I have clearly put on the ballpark 10, I think, over the last couple of weeks with football season and baseball season crossing over. But it's awesome to just be here. So any one of these guys that want to get us some free food, I'm never going to be upset. There's a legend as well, Tom Verducci, our whole crew.
Tom Verducci one time took a at-bat away from me in a Cooperstown game. Anyway, last one.
Wow.
That's a story. That's a story for another time. But all right, this is the first time you've ever been on FT. I'm sure you've watched AJ, listened to AJ.
Absolutely.
We say things with our chest.
So big fan of what you guys do, man. You guys are awesome.
Thank you. But we say things with our chest, so there's no balancing on either side. Who's more arrogant, Wainwright or Pierzynski?
Dude, me by far.
I didn't realize that was a question that was going to have like a dramatic answer to it. I figured you guys just knew what the answer was going to be, right?
Wainwright's nice. We all know he's nice. I'm not.
Here's the thing, though. Like, you're all athletes. Kratzy, like you understand it. Dellin, you understand it. Hannah, we're.
I'm not an athlete.
We have egos about how we do our jobs and want to do them well. I think I'll say it this way. I think Adam hides his a whole lot better than AJ.
Good answer.
I think that's the way to say it.
I'm like Dellin at the poker table. Like, I just come in roaring, right? Wayno's more like Kratz at the poker table. Like, he hides it and then he strikes at the last second.
I like that. I like that analogy.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to let Adam go and get some ballpark food, maybe.
Hey, there's Ed's Fita, the biggest Philly fans in the world.
Ed's Fita.
Right here. If you, Kratzy, you think you're a big Philly fan? In game 2, he was so mad, like when they were losing. He's like, this team stinks. They suck so bad. And then they hit the home run, dancing like, woo, sitting right here dancing while they were winning.
There it is.
That's what he was
exactly
doing.
Like that.
Now, if you don't know who Ed Fita is, Google me. Works for Joe and Troy on Monday Night Football.
He's my statistician on the NFL. He's been my NBA guy for a long time. We've worked together for almost 15 years. He's worked stats, a bunch of World Series and Super Bowls. So he's fresh off the plane from Kansas City after Saints Chiefs last night, and we're going to enjoy this series together. And then he and I are headed to New Orleans for Saints and Bucks on Sunday.
Wow. Nothing is more impressive to me than when people can call like more than one sport. To me, you are the Shohei Ohtani of media as far as I'm concerned. I have no idea.
That's the first and only time I will ever get any kind of comparison to Shohei Ohtani, and I will take it. I'll take it gladly.
Awesome. All right, we're going to take a quick break. But thanks, Kev, for being here. And I'll be there soon. I'm going to come out to the game.
Yeah.
See you guys.
We'll see you soon.
How fast, from your perspective, did the home run by Harper and then the home run by Nick, how fast did that happen? Because you sit there and you have a game plan, and I've been in scouting report meetings. Hey, we don't want to let Harper beat us. Technically, if you're really thinking about, hey, Harper's not going to beat us, he didn't beat you. You guys are still winning 3-2 with Sugar in the bullpen, so you guys are still up. Sevy's got like 74 pitches at the time.
At that time, it wasn't Sugar. It was Budo in the 6th.
Oh, when Budo was when you did this one, it was Budo. Okay,
it was Budo. Yeah, it was Budo that was up in the 6th. Harper didn't beat us there, but they got the momentum back. Because they were down, man. And as soon as Harper hit that ball, the whole place went nuts again. And 2 pitches later, I think it was Castellano. Now he's tying the game. So it happens quick, But that's baseball,
But you're the manager. So is that why you went out and told McGill? Why you went out that time? Like, did you want to make sure a certain point was across? And what did you tell him? What did you say in that meeting? Because I love that you went out there. Some managers don't take the trek, but you look good walking out to the mound. You don't have like a weird limp or anything like that. You look like you're young.
He's in shape.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I just wanted to go through the whole situation, how we were going to play Turner at first base. I didn't want to give him the whole, even though I was going to pitch around him. If Turner would have taken second base, I had a decision to make there. But yeah, even then, as I'm talking to McGill, we gave him a pitch to hit, and he almost beat us. He hit a bullet down the right field line for a foul ball. And as soon as that ball came out of McGill's hands, I'm like, what a win, boom. And then I'm glad he was foul ball, And then the whole time I was like, Turner, take second base. But obviously they're not going to do it. But yeah, it was just me going through all the scenarios there. And, like I said, not only the guys in front of Harper, but the guy behind him, he's a pretty good hitter, and he got us yesterday.
All right, let's see how we did on Monday's locks. Who did well?
Kratz.
That's just
Kratz is the only one.
Just Kratz. All right.
I cannot believe
Cole
Reagan's. Cole Reagan's, man, killed me. He had like 5 punch outs and he kept getting to 2 strikes. He couldn't put that last guy away. I'm like, just one more strikeout, please.
I thought they were bringing him out for one more inning too, and you would have had it, AJ.
Yeah. Salvi, I saw you. By the way, I saw your boy Salvi this morning. Salvi. I'm like, hey. I said, Kratz said, when are you going to come on? He goes, oh, Kratz, whenever Kratz wants.
Yeah, he said always call him. Every time I call him, he doesn't answer, so there's that.
That's exactly what he says. He's like, have him call me. I'll answer. I'm like, yeah, you never answer.
All right, this is now our gripe section, personal gripes. That's what we're BetMGM and personal gripes. Let's see what Papelbon's picks are for today.
FT fam, what's up? It's your boy Playoff Pap. Yeah, I'm still Playoff Pap now. I know my playoff record sucks, but I know y'all talk a bunch of mess on me about playoffs. I've been missing all these games, but it ain't over. and I'm going to keep it simple today. I'm going to keep it simple. We are going only on the Phillies, my old team, which I can only trust at this point in time. Aaron Nola, Manaea, I got to go over in that game. And I'm also going money line Phillies. I think the Phillies are going to regain control of the series tonight. I like Aaron Nola a little bit better than Manaea. I think Manaea is going to give it up tonight. I really do. In New York, it's going to be a big game. I can't wait to watch. We had plus 225 on that, and I'm going to put 200, and we're going to turn it around. Let's go, baby.
You know why
When you
Pat's
guys
struggling in
got-
the playoffs? Because he can't pick against the White Sox, so he doesn't know what to do. He's lost right now.
Yep, he's a dog without a bone. And now I feel bad about my pick. I'll just go right to mine. I had the Phillies money line, but man, playoff Pat was passive Pat. Normally he's like super energy Pat, but whew, I mean, I'm going money line. I took the Phillies money line minus 110, put 110 out to win 100.
All right. Well, it's a very boring pick there, Mr. Homer. But so I went big, and I'm betting 200 today just because I feel like parlay Pap isn't on my bets today. So basically, I just went every pitcher that wasn't named Walker Buehler to get over 5.5 punch-outs. That's it. And it gets me to plus 679. And I wasn't going to add Nola. Michael King, 5.5. Are you kidding me? He punched out 12 last time, right?
That's
Manaea
so-
has owned with the tough shadows, him throwing out of the fans. And last but not least, Aaron Nola, I think it is 13 or 23 straight starts against the New York Mets, has struck out 5 or more. So, I mean, it was hard for me not to put that one in there.
Yep. Are the shadows going to be there? Are the shadows going to be in the stadium?
It's going to be weird because the thing about Manaea is he throws from down here, right? And there's one section of stands in right center where he throws out of, and people have said that he makes it tough on him here at Citi Field.
Like that.
All pitchers rules. All right. Okay. How'd you get?
Now, I don't care if they score a lot of runs. I just need strikeouts.
All right. How to get this offer in 4 easy steps. 1, download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android and visit betmgm.com. 2, sign up and deposit at least $10 into your BetMGM Sportsbook account. Place your first wager and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. And if the bet does lose, your bonus bets will be available once your initial wager is settled. Gambling problems or concerns, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Hello.
Back between the innings.
Back between the innings. AJ, what are you doing between innings when you're calling a game?
Nothing. I just sit there and
Nothing.
try to think about what's coming up for the next half inning and who's coming up, who's pitching, where we're at in the lineup, stuff like that. Once it gets later, start thinking about bullpen moves that could happen. That's it, really. And just you take a break because when you're calling games, you're so locked in while the action's happening. So those 2 minutes are like almost like a okay, I can breathe here for a second, and you kind of start trying to play it forward a little bit.
Do you look at your phone? Do you look at Twitter?
I look at everything. I look at my phone while I'm calling the game. That doesn't bother me.
He's got ADD for sure.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, I got the football game on. I got the game on. I got my notes. I got everything. So it's like that's what keeps me going is because I'm not just like.
Are you sneaking any snacks in between innings?
I am when I can.
Okay.
Now we haven't had great food, have we, guys, during the playoffs in Philly?
Yeah,
we had
banana
Krabby.
split.
We had banana, but that's pregame. So we have Krabby
Okay.
fries during the game 1 with the cheesy sauce from Chicky and Pete. So we definitely had to have that. But a lot of times here in the playoffs, the food is better, so we eat before the game as opposed to during the game. And Frankie Two Scoops ain't delivering during the game, so we got to get him.
I was gonna
pregame.
say, don't be talking bad stuff. I can't remember if I'm allowed to curse in these breaks about the Phillies food situation.
No, not at all.
That's the best press box dining in baseball.
No, I'm not. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we eat before the games. But what they normally do is they bring us stuff from the stands during the games, and this time they just haven't because there's just so many moving parts in the playoffs.
How many Philly cheesesteaks did you have while you were there a couple days?
I did not have one Philly cheesesteak. I'm proud to say. Nope. But I had a bagel this morning from New York. Does that count?
Well, sounds like you're biased. Sounds
No,
like New York is
because
giving
I
better
went to
carbs.
because we went to Morimoto in Philly, which is unbelievably delicious, and then we went to Fiorella it's called, the next night in Philly, which is some of the best Italian food I've ever had. And then last night in New York, I tried to go to Del Frisco, but it closed at 9:00. What restaurant closes at 9:00 in New York?
New York.
New York.
They don't make them like they used to, Dellin. They don't make them like they used to.
You should have hit me up. There's some good spots you could have went to last night.
Well, I mean, I just tried to go somewhere nice and fancy and quick, and it's closed.
It's our final segment of the show. How are we all feeling about we got Phillies, Mets, Padres, Dodgers afterwards. What is give me predictions. I hate predictions, but I'm making you do it anyway. AJ, are you allowed to predict things when you're calling the game, or does that make it seem like you're gonna?
Yeah, no, I'm like Kirk Herbstreit on game day. I'm calling the game, so I'm gonna take a step back on this one.
That's fair. Kratz, give me your prediction for tonight.
I got 6 strikeouts for Nola, 6 strikeouts for Nye. That's all I care about.
Phillies, Padres.
I like the Mets to win tonight and Padres.
The Padres feel like to go back to the beginning of the show, talking about Dave Roberts and thinking Manny Machado threw at him. To me, all I'm hearing is the Padres have gotten in their heads and they think they're going down to San Diego a little bothered. Doesn't seem good for the Dodgers. All right. We're going to say goodbye to our Bailey's audience. Thanks for watching Tell Territory. We'll be back again tomorrow. We're back for YouTube. AJ, hit us with your cues.
All right. I got 2 questions for you guys. One, who's the guy on the Dodgers that's going to step up and fight back? Because they got a bunch of really nice guys, but they don't have that guy that's like – they don't have the man in it. Ty Oscar's the guy? He's the guy that's going to fight back? You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, the Dodgers dudes are awesome, and they're super nice, but they don't have like that fire spitter guy, right? Like Manny or Tatis or whoever you want to call it. They don't really have like that guy. So it's going to be interesting to see how they respond. And then 2, Hannah, since we haven't talked to you since you had your baby, are you back to dyeing your hair? Because it's a little darker than we're normally used to.
Okay. I'm back to dyeing it. I can be back to dyeing it. What I don't have is the time or the funds to go full pink. It's a lot. It's a big commitment. The double process bleach, then you got to go pink. So we're doing pink highlights. What do we think? Do we like it? It's like a little bit of pink.
You got to get the little pink glitter things that they can put in there now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like when you go on like a vacation to Key West and you get the beads in your hair. I did that when I was little. Start rocking that. Is that what you have under your hat, Kratz? We didn't get to see your hat. Show us your hat.
We got to. I mean, it was the only pink hat that I could find in short notice. I figured I was going to try to match your hair.
I love it. It's a little pink.
There's a little pink there. There's a little pink on the brim. Doesn't quite show up. It's the Lakewood. When we're out at Lakewood, I forget the name of it. Like the Serpentinos or something. It's a sick hat.
What is it? What is the mascot? Is that what is it supposed to be? Is it
it's like a octopus.
Those are not serpents.
Yeah, but it's part of the like their second hats or whatever, the team's second hats. They have like 7 hats, I think, and they have some awesome ones. Ones with like a sunglasses on them. Pretty cool hats out in Lakewood.
That's a Blue Claws hat. Lakewood Blue Claws?
Yeah, the team is Blue Claws, but I don't know what
the hat is. Okay.
The hat, it's like an alternate hat night, and I don't remember what the name of the team is that night.
I've noticed walking around Brooklyn, suddenly everyone is wearing Brooklyn Cyclones hats. They're very good hats. There are some good. Do you have one of those? If not, maybe I'll get one and send it to you because they're good hats, the Brooklyn Cyclones hats.
Maybe the Brooklyn Cyclones can send me the hat, and you can save the money on for your pink hair.
Right, for the pink hair or for the baby, one or the other.
Yeah, one of the two.
Make sure they have his hat size when you look for that. I don't know if it'll be hard finding that.
8 7/8.
Whoa. First of all, okay, don't be coming in here with your big head yourself, Dellin, all right? And AJ.
I'm 7 5/8. I don't think you're definitely 8 above.
So am I. 7 5/8.
There's no way. Look at that head. Thing is huge.
7 5/8. You feel bad about yourself now, don't you, Dellin?
That's how big
You
your
just feel
head
jealous.
is, though.
Man, I tell you what, you might need to go to, get that LeBron James. You know what I'm saying? Get that hair growth.
Okay. We're waiting out for we're waiting for a hair club sponsorship. So I'll be the first one on it. I'll be more arrogant than AJ if I get hair. Woo-wee.
Go to Turkey, man. Turkey, they do a good
Turkey's
job.
where it's at.
Okay, we need to step aside because Baseball America's Hot Sheet is coming up next. But everybody, thank you. Del, congrats. Your first show as host. How'd you feel?
I made it. A couple hours. Kratz treated me. You treated me lightly today, man. I was expecting more. Yeah. I was expecting a little more back and forth.
Okay. Maybe next time.
Yeah.
Just
Thank you
warming
guys.
you up.
Thank you guys for having me. It was fun.
Don't forget to hit subscribe. All of YouTube,
Oh, yeah.
we only got 50% of the people that are listening and watching to this are subscribed. Hit the subscribe button. We just hit 59,000. Woo-wee.
Woo!